So hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and it is day 20. Today I thought I would do a tag video, and the tag I've chosen is the cookbook tag. I haven't seen any recent cookbook tag videos. They're all about a year old and they all seem to be done by Americans. So I thought I would do my version. And so I've come up with 10 questions and I'm going to get straight on into it. Now this was quite difficult to pick these cookbooks because I've recently just counted up how many cookbooks I own, and I have 178. Yeah. On a side note, not only do I have 178 cookbooks, I also have 6 of these files, which are all my printouts of recipes, some of which are from the BBC Good Food website, which I think is a really great resource for recipes, but also recipes that I've printed out of books that other people own, recipes that I like. So I have 2 for savoury, 2 for baking and 2 for desserts, and these store my recipes nice and neatly. So getting on with the tag, question 1, my top 3 cookbooks. Now these are cookbooks that I don't necessarily use all the time, or may not have used at all, but I think are really lovely cookbooks. And as I created the tag, I should have said top 4 really, but I said top 3 because I thought 4 sounded a bit too much. However, I have 4. The first 3 all come from the same place, and that is Ottolenghi. I only have 3 of their books. I think there's 2 others, Plenty More, and a new one that's just come out. So I have Jerusalem, which I've never used this book, but it has beautiful pictures. This would be a lovely gift for any foodie, and it's a great coffee table book actually, because there's just so much to look at and read in here. So I really like that one. And as for other Ottolenghi books, this is the first one I ever bought, and I got this one in a charity shop. This is the Ottolenghi cookbook, lots of photos of one of their restaurants, or cafes, or delis, I don't know what you would call it. I've never been to an Ottolenghi restaurant, but I do hope to go sometime. And in this book, my favourite recipe is the green bean and orange and hazelnut salad. That's something I make probably every other week, it feels like, but this is a lovely book. And the other Ottolenghi book I have is Plenty. As I say, there's another book to this called Plenty More. I don't yet have that one. Again, beautiful photographs of food. I think this is purely vegetarian as well. I eat meat, but I do love vegetarian food, but I like good vegetarian food, not just a meal that doesn't contain meat. And this would be a perfect gift for any vegetarian that loves to cook and try different flavours. The recipe I particularly enjoy in this is the saffron tagliatelle with spiced butter. It's really something quite unusual. So as I say, in my top 3 books, I've actually got 4. So I had to include all of my Ottolenghi books, because I couldn't find places for them to go further down the list in this tag video. But then I had to include something else as well. So I have included this book on Petits. This is a lovely book to look through, and I've made several of these recipes for drinks parties and also for dinner parties. It's got some lovely recipes in that really do work, because quite often with a book like this you're a bit sort of sceptical of whether the recipes will be just too faffy and fiddly, and will they even work, and I can tell you in this book they do. But again, beautiful photographs really entice you to make these, so I really like this book. So moving on to question 2, my favourite baking cookery book, and it is the Hummingbird Bakery Cookbook. I think this is the first one they produced. I do have all of the others, but this is the one that I have used time and time again. I've made almost every recipe in this book. The carrot cake is amazing, the Brooklyn blackout cake is wonderful. The savoury muffins are really interesting, and I would really recommend making those. So this is my top baking book. Next question is question 3, which is my favourite world food book. And it's actually titled something similar to that. It's called The Food of the World, A Journey for Food Lovers. This really is a journey for food lovers. Again, wonderful pictures of interesting recipes. This is quite a heavy, thick book, but it's well worth buying. I think I got this for £2.99 in a charity shop, and it's actually retails at £30. So I was very happy about that. Since buying this one, I actually went on and bought several others from the series. So for any food lovers that love food from around the world, this is a great book for you to own in your collection. Right, question 4, my favourite family cookbook. Now, I haven't talked about my favourite lady in cooking yet, and that's Mary Berry. So here is my first Mary Berry book. This is one I would really recommend for family cooking. It's her Sunday lunch book, and it's just great. Obviously, families love roasts and sitting around together, hopefully, but not only in this book does she talk about how to cook a good roast, but all the different accompaniments to go with it, some things that are a bit different. It does hot desserts and cold desserts, but it also does casseroles and curries and canapé and starters. So it's just a really good all-round book, and it's only small. It's got all the great instructions you would expect from Mary, along with details of cooking in advance, being able to freeze things as well, and also about cooking on an Aga if you have an Aga. Probably one of my favourite recipes in here is the smoked haddock and mushroom pie that Mary makes. I've adapted it, surprise surprise, and I use all butter puff pastry on the top instead of a mashed potato topping. But equally well, both are great, and this would be my family recommendation. Question 5, my favourite dinner party cookbook. And surprise surprise, it's Mary Berry again. This one's actually going to feature twice in this tag. I should just make this up really, but I just can't lie to you. This is the book I will always go to if I'm planning a dinner party. Again, it's got all the instructions for planning ahead, freezing, and things like that, which makes it much easier when doing a dinner party. Plus, this book has all styles of cooking, whether it be family food, dinner party, buffet, just a relaxed supper party. It's great. Plus starters and canapé, desserts, etc. And Mary also includes a number of vegetarian dishes as well, so it's not just for the meat eater. And there's lots of fish recipes in here also. And really, this could be a family cookbook too, because it has lasagna, cottage pie, and all that type of thing in as well. But she has a nice little twist to everything to make it that little bit more special. But still perfectly good for everyday food. While still talking about favourite dinner party books, this isn't a book I go to straight away to look for inspiration, but this Bill Granger holiday book is a book that I will go to in the end because I love to cook this one recipe for dinner parties. It's pork meatballs with curry sauce, and it looks something like that. I often will do this the day before, and then it can just be warmed through on the night. It's delicious. It's not too spicy. It's sort of a Thai kind of curry with the pork meatballs, and I serve it with coriander rice and the ottolenghi green beans with orange and hazelnuts. Green salad as well if I feel like it, and that's always a winner. Perfect for a dinner party, even a smart one. Because the flavours are really there, and it's quite inexpensive to make, so that's always helpful if you're feeding a crowd. Moving on then, is question 6, and what is my favourite themed book? So when I was thinking about themed books, I've got books about meatballs, about chocolate, about macaroons, all manner of themed style books. But the one I really love, and I bought for a friend a while ago and he loves it too, is Cooking with a Passion for Pork, Pig, and it's by Johnnie Mountain. If any of you have this book, it's great. And it's all about pork, all different kinds of pork, whether it be sausages or bacon or pork tenderloin or chops or belly pork. It's just everything pork, and it's a wonderful book. My favourite recipe in here has to be the spiced meatloaf with barbecue sauce. That's well worth making. Children love it, Adults love it, and again, it's quite a good dinner party food. I just wish I could come up with a better name for it, because meatloaf to me just doesn't really appeal. Well, the name of it doesn't appeal. So this is what it looks like in the book, and you can just slice it and then serve it with this lovely thick syrupy barbecue sauce that contains apple juice and ketchup and things. So really lovely meal, and great cold actually, if you have any left over, that is. So this is my favourite book, and it all revolves around pork. Question 7 is, which is my first cookbook? And I actually have my first cookbook. When I moved out, I decided to take it with me. Not that I'll probably ever go back to it, or maybe if we one day have children I might go back to it, but I just didn't want to leave it at home because it felt like it was such a part of me. And it's very grubby, looking at it now, but never mind. And it's called My Cookery Book, and it's by Caroline Green. And this is what it looks like. I think I was given this as a present, possibly for Christmas or something. And I just used to love sitting and looking at the pictures in it. I was quite young when I got it. It has things like how to make kebabs, and pizza, and it's just for children, with lots of diagrams and things of how to chop stuff up. But I just used to really love looking through this book and making things from it. The one page that I think I used the most was the chocolate cake recipe, and I used to make this all the time. I just loved this book. As I say, I just used to love thumbing through it and deciding what I could possibly make. I always wanted to make the fruit cocktails with umbrellas and things, but I never did those. We never had the ingredients. Question 8. Which is my go-to cookbook? The Mary Berry and Lucy Young Cook Up a Feast book. If I need a recipe, this is where I go to first to get some inspiration, and then I move on from there. It's just lovely to flick through. I know it so well, and so something in here will spark off my imagination, and then I'll go to other books to look for other recipes. So this is my go-to book. So question 9, we're getting there. Which is the last book I purchased? Well, what a surprise, it's Mary Berry again. She's recently done a new series, and it's Mary Berry Absolute Favourites, and this is what it looks like. I've got the hardback book. I bought this recently after watching the series. I love the series. I do love watching Mary on the television. I find her quite comical, and it's very relaxing television, and I always like seeing what she's going to do next. However, I don't think I've used this book. I've looked through it a lot and tried to find some recipes I really want to make, but a lot of this, sadly, is repeated in all her other books, or she's just made slight changes, like she's used chicken instead of tuna or something like that. And so it's a bit of a shame that I know all her other books so well that when I'm looking through this, it's like, oh, but we've seen that already, and that's in such and such a book. And then I'm noticing more and more that actually a lot of her books just repeat the same recipes, which is a bit of a shame, because they maybe could just do a thinner book with less recipes in, but they're all different. Her roulade recipe appears in so many books. The apple and lemon strudel appears in several different books. And what else? Oh, there's several recipes that appear time and time again. But she does have probably about 5 different lasagna recipes, and several beef casserole type things. So she does change them up, but it is disappointing when you buy a new book and you think it's going to be packed with loads of new stuff, and you find that either the new stuff isn't as good as the old stuff, or it's just slightly altered from the old recipes. But nevertheless, I love this book, and I love it being in my collection, and for anyone that hasn't got any Mary Berry books, this is great. Tinky, shush. I've got the dogs next to me, both fast asleep, but Tink's snoring. Anyway, so yes, this is the last book I purchased. So the final question, and that is question 10. Which are my favourite Christmas cookbooks? and I have 3. I love planning the food for Christmas. I love arranging the menus, thinking up different ideas for doing the same old thing. So steamed carrots, no, let's have glazed carrots. Steamed sprouts, no, let's pan fry them with pancetta and chestnuts. Actually, I prefer them steamed rather than pan fried, but it's nice to change things up a bit sometimes and surprise people and give them something they're not necessarily expecting. Nigella does a great recipe for gingerbread stuffing, which is delicious and really lovely in the turkey, with like gingerbready flavour, with all the turkey juices. It's really tasty. So it's nice to experiment a little bit at Christmas, I think. And as I say, give people what they're expecting, but not necessarily in the way they're expecting. And just give people a really exciting experience. So my 3 top cookbooks for Christmas are, yes, Mary Berry's Christmas book. This one came out a few years ago and I love this book. Again, tells you how to plan ahead. It's great. My favourite recipe in this one, possibly her chocolate roulade. I make this a lot at any time of year, and I quite often put cherry jam in, which is delicious. And then also, it's another dessert recipe, her orange panna cotta. This I made a while ago for somebody, and I made some baked apples at the same time, and I served them together, and that was a really nice combination. All the spices from the baked apple, the dried fruit, and then the orange panna cotta on the side. It was a really good combination, so I definitely recommend that. Then I have a Nigella Christmas book, and actually somebody said to me the other day that they didn't realise that Nigella had produced a Christmas book. But anyway, so this has been out quite a long time now. It's been very, very well used. The cover's got torn and things, and there's lots of splatters of cake batter in here, but this is a lovely cookbook. As you'd imagine, Nigella just makes them look so beautiful and enticing, and there's lots of lovely photographs in here. And some of the recipes in this book that I really love are the recipe that Nigella has in here for her Yule log. This is actually gluten-free, makes a delicious pudding. It'd probably be very similar actually to Mary's chocolate roulade recipe, but I've never actually sat and compared them, but this is a great recipe that everyone loves. And as I say, yes, gluten-free. Sorry Tink, am I hitting you on the head with the ball? Then I was saying about Nigella's gingerbread stuffing, and that's in here as well. And it contains apples, orange zest, gingerbread, and streaky bacon. So it's rather tasty, and well worth trying if you fancy trying a different stuffing recipe. But there are also other recipes in this book that I use time and time again all year round, and that is the prodigious pavlova. Never fails, always looks amazing and is great. And also her ginger cake recipe I make quite a lot, as a pudding as well as just a cake, and I quite often add stem ginger to it, so that's my little alteration. And then if you're interested in making edible gifts for people as Christmas presents, Nigella's chilli jam has always been a winner for me in the past. Just make sure you cook it long enough that the shredded chilli actually is suspended in the jelly rather than all sitting at the top. But don't cook it too long, that then it becomes a little bit like toffee. I've done both and I have also managed to cook it correctly at times as well. And then a recipe I've made a few times as a sweet treat, as a gift, as gifts for people, is Nigella's Christmas pudding bonbons. Now these are a combination of chocolate and Christmas pudding, rolled into sort of truffles, coated with white chocolate and decorated a bit like a Christmas pudding with glacier cherries. And they are really tasty. Little bit fiddly, but if that's the type of thing you like, I would definitely recommend making the Christmas pudding bonbons. They really look impressive anyway. The last Christmas book I really love is this one from Delia Smith. Everyone knows Delia, I'm sure, and Christmas wouldn't be the same without her, really. This is the book I get my Christmas cake recipe from. It never fails. It's the fruitcake recipe of choice that I use all year round. It's the one I used for my wedding, so I just love that recipe. If anyone's worried about Christmas, and the catering and they want to do a good job and yeah, they like Delia, then this probably is your book. It is going to hold your hand through every moment. So I like this book. Thank you, Delia. So I think that's the end of my cookbook tag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and work out how to tag people in it that have already done it before. So they might watch my tag video. They might even redo their tag videos. Do people do that? I don't know. Or do my version of the cookbook tag. So I hope you've enjoyed it and I'll see you soon. Bye!